already.
All right, sure. You want to do countdown?
Um, yeah, that's fine by me.
Cool. Three, two, one. You flipped me off.
Yeah, okay, it's
It's all
fine.
right. I could take a joke. I know you don't mean it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Majora T Cast Revived. We threw a Phoenix down, and we got a BioPhoenix here. Hello, everybody. Welcome, BioPhoenix.
Hello, everyone. This is BioPhoenix here, and yeah, there you go. So, yes, today I'm glad to be on here, and I'm really tired, but that's okay. I'll make sure not to pull a Sleepy Joe on you.
I mean, that would be clippable in and of itself. However,
Yes.
I need your segment. So, no, it's nice to have you on. I know it's late, but, the holidays are here and upon us. I'm tired as well, but I'm very excited to talk with you today about the things we are going to talk
I'm
about.
excitedly tired.
I'm so excited, I have made myself tired.
There you go.
Well, for those who don't know BioPhoenix, he does obscure reviews. He also does anime reviews, and I'm going to be talking about something anime related in my segment later. So we got some good stuff to talk about. And, of course, we do have another Majora T Cast Revived that we worked on, and BioPhoenix talked about pixel art in video games. Very exciting.
And I also think I talked about like the UI, like our favorite like looking like menu systems too, or something. Didn't we do that as well?
We did. I didn't have much of an answer then. I still don't, but it was a good question.
Yeah.
Any new UIs since then?
Not that I've seen, not that I can think of like off the top of my head, but like I always just do the occasion just see like random ones here and there. But like I said, a lot of the ones I usually like try to like look for is like stuff from like old like Japanese computer systems, just because a lot of them just look so freaking cool to me.
I don't know if it's classic, but well, it's classic in some sense. The Bard's Tale. I was playing the first one, and it has that like computer RPG aesthetic where it's like a couple buttons on the side and then like a window.
Yep. Yeah, that's
So
a good example. Yeah.
that stood out to me. Well, anyways, go check out that video after this one. But for now, we got some good stuff to talk about. Anything you want to talk about before we get in?
Nothing particularly other than that I've kind of taken a break off of making videos for a little bit just because I've been very busy and, just playing other stuff, and playing other stuff, like, on my own. Like, recently I actually just finished Resident Evil 4 Remake, which I'm happy about.
Nice. Awesome.
That was very
Congrats.
fun. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, that was a blast. Of course, I'll talk more about that eventually there. But yeah, no. Other than that, everything has been hunky dory.
Excellent. Let's keep it that way. Speaking of hunky dory, I'm going to give the first segment to you. BioPhoenix, what segment have you brought for the Majora T Cast today?
Alrighty. Well, one thing that I actually used to do videos on, and I would like to do more of them. I just haven't thought of like a lot of like good ideas that I haven't done before yet, and that is video game music. Like, not only is it just one of those like types of music that I just always like really like, and I always like talking about them and like all like my videos, and like I said, I used to do videos specifically about video game music, like like what were my favorite heavy metal tracks in a video game, and what are my favorite like piano pieces or whatever. Like, I've done like a bunch, and they're pretty old, but I actually don't mind going back and listening to them every once in a while, and then I'm just like, oh yeah, I forgot I mentioned that. So yeah. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about video game music from any genre and any era and whatever.
Country music it is. Donkey Kong Country.
Okay, you had me worried there. So, the first question we have here with regarding the video game music is, what game that got you to pay attention to the background music in a video game?
Well, the first games I grew up with were in what I'd consider peak Nintendo era. They were Zelda Ocarina of Time and Pokemon Gen 1. So red, blue, yellow, both of which to me have phenomenal soundtracks, although some get repetitive over time. I think I was just the music was just such a core part of the experience that really got me enamored in the games and gaming as a whole. I don't think I was listening to the Game Boy Color with headphones, but those tunes, those chip tune 8-bit, 16-bit. What is Game Boy Color? 8-bit, I want to say. Sound effects have
Yeah, it's
stuck with me,
8-bit.
and they're so complex when you compare them to like NES era. NES era tends to loop, within like, I don't know the musical terminology, but like the songs are not complex versus in Pokemon Gen 1, you could have unique sounds playing for like a total of a minute or 2 minutes, and they're just so charming. It's really impressive what they're able to do with so little. Versus Ocarina of Time, it's just so much more. I don't know. It has a nice aesthetic, a nice atmosphere. I think of like the Spirit Temple and just the subtle effects of like those chimes. All the instrumentation. So it's a real experience. Those are the first games that really, where the music stood out to me. Where did video game music start out for you to be a positive?
Well, I will say that, one of the very first games I remember playing was Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo, and I can definitely say that, yeah, the music for that game is definitely, like, the one that always did stuck out to me, like, very early on. Like, I remember one time, like, whenever I'd be, like, playing with my action figures or whatever, I'd always like put the Super Nintendo on, leave it on, and while like like the music was playing like of like a certain stage, pause the game, and because when you pause the game in that game, like the music would still continue. So yeah, I would just like have that on the background while I'm just like playing with like my action figures. It was kind of funny. But yeah, no, the music in that game, like every single track in that game is a freaking banger, man. Like, oh man, like so many good tracks. Like obviously everyone talks about the underwater track and how like relaxing and just like how great it is, and I love it, and it definitely is up there for sure. I love the minecart stage is like really intense and like thrill ride, which makes sense, and the snow theme levels in that game were also like really cool. Also kind of intense too, and like because like I live in Canada and we used to have like really huge amount of like snowstorms like back in the day, and every time I'd be walking through those, I'd always used to hear that music in the background in my head when I was going to school, or if we had to go to the store or whatever, going through a blizzard there. And yeah, like pretty much I used to like just think of like outside of just playing the game, that was like the one that like I would always used to hear all the time as I like go out and do stuff.
It would
As
just
weird
be
as it
like
sounds.
playing in your head. You weren't listening to it like on an MP3 device, right?
Yeah, no. I just meant yeah, playing in my head. No, when I was a kid, the MP3s were not a thing.
The only MP3s that I had on an iPod were for anime tracks, specifically either for Naruto or Dragon Ball Z. And I remember really liking like the Super Saiyan 3 soundtrack. That one just
Okay,
like got me
that's
hyped
cool.
up because I was an athlete, so I used to just listen to that before like doing some major, workout or something. With Naruto, I don't remember. It wasn't the theme song. It was probably one of those hype tracks. But with video game music,
Yeah,
I don't really think I had much.
yeah, no, that's all understandable. But yeah, no, Donkey Kong Country for me is like yeah, like sometimes when I'm just out and about and I'm just like thinking about stuff, sometimes I'll just like picture those songs like playing in my head whenever like it feels right. Which is kind of interesting. I don't know. I'm sure there are other people that also think this too. I'm sure I can't be the only one, all right?
No, of course, the only difference is generational. Kids nowadays grow up with devices that can play anything on YouTube or sound whatever they use. What do kids use? TikTok,
Yeah, I think it is like yeah, SoundCloud or freaking Spotify. I don't know why it took me
Spotify.
so long to think about
That's
it.
yeah, Spotify. Hmm.
But yeah, I will go out and say that I do like your pick with Ocarina of Time, because I think that soundtrack is just fucking awesome. I love it. Like, what's one song in that game that I always really liked it, even though it's like very simplistic and kind of like, it's not really one I don't think a lot of people find to be memorable, but for me it kind of is that I think they call it like the name of the song, I think it's called like the Potion Shop theme because
Hmm.
it plays in the like the place where you can like sell your pose to that like that weird dude. And then it
Hmm.
also plays in the lake in that one house, the one with that crazy old guy, and then if you go under like the pool there's like a PNG of a shark for some reason. Yeah, you know that song?
It's not the standard shop theme music. It's like a darker theme, right?
Yeah, it's kind of dark, and it kind of has this like weird. It has like this like little like drum beat in the background where it's like, and then it does the whole like the string thing, and it's like kind of like it almost kind of sounds like something you would hear in like a Chinese restaurant, but if it was dark.
Hmm.
I don't know. Do you know which one I'm talking about, or am I like not making much sense?
You make sense. I just maybe need to spend more time in the Poe shop.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the other thing too with the song too is that like not a lot of people spend time in like those areas. Like there's that's how like unique they are. And like I said, I always remembered them and I always really liked them a lot. So yeah, I do like that one a lot. And of course, I love the Forest Temple theme. Is also one of my favorites too.
Mm. I like the Goron like den music. Like oh,
Oh yeah, that one's fun.
a
Yeah.
lot of good music. And then actually, when playing the game, it's interesting because I think in a turn-based RPG this happens too. Like there's interruptions when you go into combat and suddenly get combat themes, which is why it's so
Hmm.
important to get like good combat music in RPGs. In Ocarina of Time's case, and I think subsequent ones too, I really don't like the combat music that much. I think it interrupts the beauty of like the soundtrack. So I always hated coming into contact with monsters.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I do think the battle music's just okay. It's not like bad, but it's definitely not like amazing. It definitely like isn't as epic as what it should have been.
Yeah, I agree. The battle music's good, but you know.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that like has to be good, and they nailed that. Yeah.
And of course, opening a treasure chest that became iconic.
Yes, very much so.
Shall we move into the next topic?
Yes. So the next one is quote unquote here is video game music isn't real music. Cause I have to sound like some pretentious nerd.
Insert meme here.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Uh,
that's the thing. Yeah, people online are impassioned on this topic, which understandably so. I mean, we had a really hard time coming up with the word that is not like is we don't video game music is real music, but what do you compare it to? Like the music that's like that you just that is made by artists just for like listening sake, not for like a video game or a movie or something.
yeah, you're talking about like, bands that would play on the radio or bands that you'd go out and see at like a live show and whatever, all that kind of like fun stuff. The usual stuff.
Right, music made just for music's sake versus music made specifically that goes into video games. Difficult. I think what is hard is that people like simplicity. They like easy things. They like to boil it down to an easy thing. So the easy thing to say is, oh, video game music isn't real music. What do you mean you listen to video game music? A lot of people like simpletons or people who don't understand are going to say things like that.
Oh, yep.
Obviously, video game music is music because music is just an orchestration of sounds and
Yes.
in a rhythmic way. What doesn't have rhythm? The way I'm talking has rhythm, but it used like the use of instruments to do so. So I don't know. To me, there are a lot of beautiful songs and soundtracks out there that would, debunk this in an instant. You can go back, tens of years. You go back to Super Nintendo era with some of the most iconic music of all time. You could even go more orchestral route. You could go to the Halo soundtrack, Um, kids nowadays, they compare it to like Minecraft or like Apex, and they say those games have really good music too. I don't know, I don't play them, but I'm seeing this online. So there is lots of music out there in the video game worlds that is enjoyable. I have a playlist of 100 songs right now that are my favorite standalone tracks from video games. So it's a dumb argument. I play these songs. One thing I like about them is oftentimes the lack of lyrics. I don't need lyrics to enjoy music, and I think that's a key difference between like video game music and just music.
Yeah, music. I like that term. Music. But one thing I do want to just point out that you said that is a good like thing to say is that a lot of video game music is instrumental, and yeah, you're definitely right, it is. But there's also a lot of music, quote unquote, that there is also instrumentals, and I will say there's a lot of great original instrumental pieces out there that I really love a whole lot. And there are sometimes like when I do listen to some of these like weird like obscure prog bands that do put out these crazy long like instrumentals. Some of them I'm just like thinking to myself like, if this was into a video game, it would work. I have thought that before.
I think there's things I appreciate about video game music as well. For instance, like I don't know, we've had YouTube accounts for a while. I like to use music in my videos, but with music, it's you can't do it without getting flagged or banned, in certain countries. And to me, it's almost subtly pushed me into liking video game music more because it is something I can add to my YouTube videos generally without consequence.
Yeah, the only company, as far as I know, that you will get a now you don't get a copyright strike, you'll just get a copyright claim, which is a big difference. There's a lot of people that get mixed up with the two, but anyways, the only company, as far as I know, that will like do that occasionally. I know Nintendo used to. I don't know if they still do anymore. And I know Konami sometimes does that. But outside of that, though, like for the most part, as far as I know, like it's pretty much free game. Like I've used so much music from like like Atlas and freaking Falcom, and like Falcom music is just like amazing as shit, like one of the best ever. And yet like I can use that in like any video I want, so it's awesome.
Well, yeah. So, video game music rules. End of story. And it is real music. Video game music is music too.
Yes. It definitely is. And a lot of people definitely worked their asses off to get some of those soundtracks made.
They sure did. All right, well, that debunks the myth. I don't think anyone actually believes that, though.
No, I think at least most people that we know. I think the only people that do think that are, people that don't even play video games, or, people that don't know, like, anything about them other than just, like, what they've heard in, like, the 80s about them and still think that way.
Yeah, maybe Spencer.
Oh, yeah.
This topic is not for you. Although I think he would it's like the Chrono Trigger soundtrack, so.
Yeah, that'd be the one golden rule for him.
Must be Chrono Trigger or else. Well, speaking of his favorite, what are our favorites? We're going to talk about our favorite style of video game OSTs first.
All right. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it. My cat is biting my computer wire. This will not fly, so take it away.
All right. So, there's a lot of different styles out there, and a lot of them that I really, really like. And, I'm not picky when it comes to most of them. Like, I play games from all sorts of different eras, so of course, I like a lot of, like, the chiptune, like, 8-bit sounds of a lot of games. I also like the 16-bit stuff. Then, of course, when we go to 32-bit, that's when, like, games, like kind of start to sound, like, a little more, I don't know, like, the perfect way of explaining it there. I don't want to say, like, professionally, but, like, sound more like music, I guess. and then of course after that, then we get to the more like orchestrated stuff where everything sounds like, like epic movie type of thing, which is also pretty great too. But
Mm.
yeah, no, there's a lot of great stuff from each of them. Like if I can name like just some like examples of some that I really like from each era, like with 8-bit, like I freaking love like a lot of the Capcom stuff. Like obviously you got your Mega Mans, the very catchy stuff, and then you got Rescue Rangers. Yeah, have you ever played that game on NES?
Rescue Rangers? What is it?
It's Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. It's the
Oh. No, but I own that collection. The Disney one.
oh, okay, yeah, I forgot it is on that. Yeah, yeah, that game's really good and it's fun. And yeah, the music in that game's great too. Lots of other very catchy songs, and of course, I also how can I forget freaking Sunsoft? Man, their soundtracks on NES are like some of the best. As
Hmm.
again, very catchy. A lot of them have like a very distinct like sound of instruments. I don't know how to like describe it without like without it sounding really stupid. But yeah, like for example, like the Batman games that they have on NES, more particularly is it Return of the Joker or Revenge of the Joker? I forget the it's the second one that they did. The one where Batman actually uses a gun. That game's OST is like killer. Like that
Okay.
that shit is so great.
Sunsoft, yeah. Blaster Master is another classic too. That's got some beautiful freaking music
Yep.
for NES. In
Yeah, yeah,
general,
yeah, that one too.
chiptune music just rules. Like not always. Like I mean, and even with Mega Man, it's like it's a mix for me because I think it peaked probably like 2, 3, and then 4 and 5 and 6 have standalone tracks that I like. But like even with 1 and 2, I think they loop a little frequently, like every 30 seconds, and I can't really listen to one track on end for too long. Um, but while you're playing, it's pretty freaking epic, and you're paying attention to the game anyway because you don't want to fall down a pit or
Yeah.
something or hit a spike.
Yeah.
I do like spaceship shooters with the music. I think they tend to because they're a little simple with what's going on screen, so they have to compensate with like really hype soundtracks and gameplay. So,
Oh
when
yeah.
it comes to spaceship shooters, there's a ton of soundtracks I like. I like the Thunder Force soundtracks. I like the Steel Empire soundtrack. I like the Stormwind soundtrack. I like the Sin and Punishment soundtrack. And, it's a rail shooter, but okay. Um, when it came to N64, like Star Fox 64, great freaking
Oh
soundtrack.
yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. And that even almost makes me think of just with Nintendo, it's always such a good thing. Like I think of Smash Bros. And all the freaking songs that you could enjoy from it. So I don't know. I mean, really, it's mostly single player games that have the music to me. But
Oh yeah. No, and I'm glad you said Thunder Force because Thunder Force soundtracks are always so freaking good. Even like the Genesis ones are amazing. But have you ever heard the I think it was Thunder Force 5 that was on PS1. Have you ever heard that OST before?
sadly, no, I haven't checked it out because it's a Japan exclusive. But I'd be down.
Oh yeah, that OST is fire. Like it's great.
Nice.
Just like the other ones. So yeah, it's very very good shit.
Well, there's a way. Maybe I'll find a way to play it.
Oh yeah. But
And
yeah, no, there's a lot of great shoot 'em ups with great OSTs. Like if I had to mention like two, and obviously they're on PC Engine CD. That is Sapphire, or it has like a Japanese name, but everyone I know just calls it Sapphire because it's like like what else are you gonna get it confused by? What Pokemon Sapphire on the PC Engine CD? I didn't know that was a thing.
hey, it's a
but
ROM
but
hack,
no, yeah, 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 you know. Okay, but no, seriously though, yeah, no, yeah, Sapphire, it's like Ginka something Sapphire, yeah, but no, that game is great, and the OST is like super heavy metal sounding, very like fast paced, and it's very catchy and great. Like that's one that like I can like put on loop for like 10 minutes and like not even get tired of it. And same thing with Lords of Thunder, that's another one that's kind of similar as well.
Hmm. And then I don't know. RPGs are kind of hit or miss for me with the soundtracks. I'm big into Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest, a couple of them have just beautiful soundtracks, like kind of emotional soundtracks. Um, Dragon Quest 4, 5, 7, 8, 11's is good. Um, and then Chrono Trigger,
Yeah, I will.
Chrono Cross. Chrono Cross is freaking beautiful.
Yeah, Chrono Cross is a good OST from what I remember hearing of it.
Tropical
I was
kind
gonna.
of sounding songs are really nice. Like I like that. I like Super Mario Sunshine.
Yep, yep, great. Yeah, I was gonna say about Dragon Quest. I remember Dragon Quest 8 with the PS2 version with the orchestrated stuff. I thought that shit was really, really good.
Yeah, I'd like to go back and play that version sometime. I have the 3DS one, which I'm excited to play, but I know the music thing is a thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, because I used to own the 3DS version, and it is a really good version. But the fact that they resorted back to like I don't even know what you call it, but like the original music that wasn't the orchestrated stuff, it just I don't know, it sounds weird to me, and I just don't like it nearly as much. It's not
Mm-hmm.
awful, but it's just not like the same. But maybe just because of the fact that I'm just so like not used to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those are kind of some of my favorite styles. I don't know. I think it's easier for me to answer eras. My favorite eras are Super Nintendo, N64, and GameCube.
Oh yeah, yeah, great choices there. Yeah, I would agree too. Like I like, like the whole like, the 90s and like early 2000s. Yeah, I would say so.
All right, let's contrast that with the worst OSTs.
Joy. We get to talk about some bad OSTs. I'll start from like the older one and then go to like, more modernish. So, if I had to name like an old like bad OST, like if we're talking like NES, since I know we've been talking a bit about NES right now, but Rocky and Bullwinkle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know the show. Yeah. Well, they made a game out of it on NES, and yeah, the music in that game is oh man, it just like baffles me that someone out there like put that out there. Like you need to hear it to believe it. Like it's so like awful.
This is the third time I'm hearing about how bad it is. I heard from you. I think I heard it from Legend of Leo, and he mentioned Davey GN did a video on it or something.
I know Brian mentioned it for sure
Okay, it's four.
because I know he's played it on stream before, and I watched him, and I'm just like, yeah, we're gonna like this shit. Yeah. Yeah, so that's like one like old bad one I can mention. If I were to mention like another one that like I just not into like at all. Man, there's a lot I can pick from here. Uh Sorry, I'm just still like looking through like my shit here because I have a lot of like stuff like on like my folders with like video game music, so I'm just trying to like look through some of them and remember like, okay, was this one the bad one? No, this was not the bad one.
I think like some
So if
Genesis
if you
era
if you
stuff.
have some yeah, so if you have some examples, you can go list them off right now.
I think like Genesis era stuff is kind of like not always that great. Like some Sonic songs or even like Vector Man. Uh,
I think Vector Man has a couple songs that I like. I wouldn't say it's my favorite OST ever, but I think there's some decent stuff in there.
it's a mix because I mean I like Starlight Zone and Sonic, but then like Labyrinth or Marble Garden, Marble Hill, Marble what?
I
Marble Zone.
I, I like Marble Hill personally.
Hmm.
I like that song. Maybe it
Spinning
doesn't
Heart.
like fit the most for a Sonic game, but I like it but I just like the way how it sounds.
It's not like the worst. It's just dull to me. Um,
Well, when it comes to Sonic Spinball, that freaking option music.
even the
I know
main
Turbo
music,
likes to bring it up.
even the main music's not that much better.
Yeah.
The Fantasy Star 3 combat theme is kind of notorious.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. I freaking forgot about that.
I can't forget from Boston Burf's video.
Yeah, that video still makes me laugh. Yeah. But yeah, the whole like whatever how it went.
It does that for like 10 seconds straight. It's like, when does it hit? When does it drop?
Yeah.
So that's not great.
Okay. I know there's a okay. I know this is like another NES game. I know I said I was gonna go like newer, but I just remembered. The very first Terminator on NES has a really horrific soundtrack.
Wow.
Like it's literally just like a bunch of like random beeps. Like literally like the first like 30 seconds of the song is literally like do 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 do, and then it does the whole do 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 do, and it does that like over and over again, and it's like, yeah, that's the whole thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Or should I say awful? I don't know.
Well,
I
yeah.
don't. Unfortunately, it's we kind of came up with the topic on the spot, but if you have some awful OSTs, let us know in the comments below.
Oh, actually, I do remember one that is a little bit more recent that I can say. Although I do think the OST in general is amazing, but there is one song off that OST that is not good. Okay, so this is a game I reviewed years ago called Sugunai Atonement. It was on PS2. It was from the company Cattle Call, and it was published by Atlas. And in fact, that's probably the reason why people like, try to hype it up or some shit. Not like it's getting hyped up all that much, because it's very obscure. And it did come out over here in North America, and it came out in 2001, so it came out like I think like not long after Final Fantasy X, so unfortunately it was one of those games that like, it got like overshadowed because of that. Just like my all-time favorite game, Shadow Hearts, and that game's OST is amazing too. But anyways, so there's a song in well, I guess I should mention too that with Sugunai, it was composed by Mitsuda,
Mm,
the guy that did Chrono Trigger.
right.
So obviously he's amazing shit, right? But I will say there is one song in that game that is pretty crap. It's a song. I think the song was called like "Find Him" or something. It basically the song played when you were like in like a little like cellar and you had to like look for this like little dude that's like hiding around like the area, and it's like kind of like annoying. Like, well, the song that plays during that background is like really obnoxious. It's like this like weird like goofy sounding like flute with this like trumpet in the background, and it just sounds like the most like campiest shit ever, and it like does not suit like the rest of the game at all. Because the rest of the game's music is so good, and it has like a lot of like cool like dark atmospheric tracks, and you get this like one which just sounds like a freaking goofy polka party, and it's just like this is awful. Like Suda, like what were you thinking?
Oh, too bad.
So yeah, like I said, good OST, but that one song made it like go from like a 10 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10.
Oh, it could be worse. One song, I want to know.
Yeah,
It
it's
drops
not
it to
like
like a 5.
yeah.
Shall we do some of our favorite underrated OSTs?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, we can go track for track. I have a playlist up. So you could start.
All right. This is one that I always used to talk about in my old videos when I talked about video game music, and well, I never shut up about even today. That is Art Nellico on PS2. And actually, I would say like the whole series in general has like a fantastic music. Firstly is that not only does like the game always have like a good variety of tracks, like it has a lot of like, you know, catchy stuff, some like atmospheric stuff that are, and then it has some like good like techno stuff, and it even does have some like campy songs too. But even the campy songs are actually like kind of fun, you know. But then but the big part about the music in that game is that there's a lot of songs that are like very like orchestrated and sound really epic and shit. But then they have a lot of like singing in it, but the singing is all done in like this made up language in the game, and it's like kind of like this like epic like opera type stuff. I don't know like the best way of like explaining it there, but yeah, it's kind of like this like really like epic like orchestrated like stuff and like a lot there's a lot of songs in it that almost sound like they could be like final boss themes, but they're not. And
Hmm.
it's awesome. I love it. So many good tracks in there. And yeah, like I said, I used to mention them like all the time in my old videos because like back then, like every time I used to look at like other people's videos, I used to talk about their favorite like, video game soundtracks. Never heard anyone else mention anything about Art Tanelco, and that's probably because it's like, not a very well-known game series, but still though, like even if you don't like the game, you can't deny that the music in those games like are just like top tier shit.
Hmm. Makes sense. Makes sense. One top tier game, I think in general, but also the soundtrack, and you put me onto it, was Shin Megami Tensei Raido Kuzunoa. A couple standout tracks in there, kind of like some heavy guitar riffs for like the combat theme. Dun, 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 dun,
Yes.
dun, 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 dun. I don't know exactly how it goes, but it's really cool when it drops. And in general, just the Shin Megami Tensei games tend to have some banger OSTs. I love Shin Megami Tensei 4's. Nocturne has some really good tracks as well. And then 5 has a pretty good overworld theme.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Shin Megami Tensei because yeah, I love like pretty much all the music in those games, even like the ones that I haven't really played much of. Like I still love them, like Shin Megami Tensei 9 on the original Xbox. That game even has a banger OST. There's actually one song in particular that almost sounds like a song from like an East game.
Hmm. That's cool.
So yeah, that's really freaking cool. But yeah, no, I love like all the Shin Megami Tensei OSTs, and yeah, and the Raidu Kuzunoha in particular, yeah, that one, yeah, it's like amazing. I love it. And also speaking of what I just mentioned earlier, but I would actually say that yeah, a lot of the Falcom soundtracks are like amazing, and even to this day, I feel like that they still don't get like the recognition that like I feel like that they really deserve. Like now, granted, like their games have been getting more popularity over the years, but I still don't think they're like as in like the same height as like the Persona series is, which is compare it to that. But yeah, no, like a lot of like the East games, like their OSTs are just phenomenal. Lots of great like heavy rocking guitar. Then there's a lot of like stuff that like depending on the version of the game too, because yes, even in like certain versions of the game will sound very different to like another version, but yet even when it's really different, it still sounds really fucking good. So yeah, like for example, if like the PC Engine CD versions, like some of those like sound like very like like typical like heavy like 80s like stuff where it has like synthesizers meets like electric guitar, so it almost sounds like something you would hear in like a movie trailer for like an Arnold movie or something, which is awesome.
See.
Yeah. And then of course, there's the Trails games, which, as again, I can literally just recycle exactly what I said and just put into that as well, and it's also just like amazing stuff, and there's this other like good variety of tracks too. But
Hmm.
yeah, I love like I can talk so much about like Falcom and all their different stuff, but we'll be here forever, so I'll end it now.
When it comes to some of like the PS1 era spaceship shooters, I really like them. Like you mentioned, Thunder Force 5, but I also like just the Darius series. I think those have some really good
Yes.
like aquatic sound effects. I like G Darius's in particular. I did that one dance track that one time to that fishing
Yes, that's
theme.
amazing.
That's an awesome Stage 5 track. Stage 5 being the final stage. And then I also like the Ray games, the Ray Storm. Has some really cool,
Yep.
like, atmosphere, like literal atmospheric because it's space. Sound effects that are like very sci-fi esque. So I think those are pretty impressive. I played Einhander once for a little bit, and I enjoyed what I heard.
Yeah, well, I can definitely say G Darius is like one of my all-time favorite shoot 'em ups in general, and yeah, the soundtrack in that game is just yeah, like amazing. I love it, and yeah, lots of yeah, like I was saying earlier, there's just way too many like great shoot 'em ups with great soundtracks.
There can never be too
Um,
many.
Yeah, too many. Yeah. Okay, one random one I do want to bring up, and this is a game I grew up with on the Super Nintendo, and it's a game that, like I said, like you would never guess what the frick it is just from like, because you'd be thinking like, oh, it must be like something like Japan only, right? Well, no, this is a game that actually came out like over here, but it's like something that's like totally random. It's Winter Olympic Games '94 on the Super Nintendo. No joke, the music in that game is like way better than it needs to be.
Yeah, that does not need to be good music.
Yeah, like they could have just made like the most like generic shit ever. But no, a lot of the music in that game is surprisingly like really freaking catchy. There's actually one song in the game that almost sounds like F-Zero music.
Ooh, that's
Like
that's a
it
good
was
thing.
like yeah, like I was like, damn, like this is like fire shit. Like what the hell? The game's kind of just like whatever, right? Like it's kind of just a mediocre game, and it's like whatever. But the music is like, yeah, like it's surprisingly really damn good.
I like some game over sound effects and also credits themes. So, I'm thinking like Super Mario World and Zelda NES. These are not underrated, but, they're classic. And I think people think to listen to like the game over music. But, that's a fun screen to keep up too.
Oh yeah. So speaking of game overs, and I'm surprised I haven't mentioned this series yet because it's another all-time favorite of mine. But some of the game over themes in Deception series are really good, especially the first one, because that was like a game I played when I was like a kid, and I remember like when you died in that game, it played this like tragic like music, and it was like it almost sounded like typical what can I like compare it to like old like movie like soundtrack, like a movie that came out in like the 30s or 40s where it'd be like this like something like tragedy was like happening. That's kind of like what it sounded like, and it was kind of cool, but it was also like kind of like made you like really sad that you died.
I like menu
uh,
music. Some menu music
oh
is pretty
yeah.
good. Time Splitters. I'm not big in the series, but Future Perfect title screen is a good track. And then
I actually don't remember that one right now.
I don't remember exactly how it goes, but it's like Burnage, Burnage. I don't know. It's pretty cool. Uh, I think when you go to the options on Vector Man, it's pretty good.
Oh yeah,
And
that one's cool. I remember that one.
Mario Party 1 being in the hub world,
Yep.
that's pretty good. Pokemon Snap, F Zero
Nice.
X
Yep.
Car Select.
Okay, that's like that's one of my all-time favorites for sure. Yep.
That's a great one. So, yeah, I love menu
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. You know what's another menu music theme I like? And as again, it's not like an underrated game, but it's GoldenEye on 64.
Mmm.
I always love that one where it has like the military drumming, and then it has like that like kind of like espionage like sound. And then there's like one sound in particular that almost like kind of reminds me of like French music for some reason. I don't know why I think that, but I do. I don't know. I'm sure I'm probably the only person on the planet that thinks that.
You can kind of see it. Did you listen to the credits theme in Resident Evil 4 Remake?
Yeah, it was not what I was expecting.
I like
It
it.
wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but it was like yeah, it was definitely different.
Yep, that was. I'm glad I listened. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, actually, if you want to know a game that has like really like unfitting like credit music is the Bouncer on PS2.
Hmm.
That game's like ending theme is like so like it's not great. It's really not, but it's also like not fitting to the game at all because like if you know anything about the Bouncer, it's like this like super like early 2000s like edgy type game where like like it's just a bunch of like teenagers beating the shit out of a bunch of people. Then at the end, you beat up this like guy who like wears like overalls, and then like the ending music for it is like, yeah, it's like this weird not campy, but it's like this weird like ballad track, and it's so like sappy and just kind of like, wow, really, we're gonna end off like this weird ass game with this?
uh, Gears of War has a quirky one too at the end.
The first one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because the first Gears of War is the only Gears of War game I ever finished with a friend of mine years ago, and yeah, I honestly don't remember it.
It's the first. It's the only one I've played too. But they do like a techno remix for like with Cole sound effects. He goes, "Whoa, slow down, stand up."
Oh wow,
It is. It's
that
funny.
is weird. You know, you'd think I would remember that, but I don't.
That's that. I
'Cause-
always remembered that, and I was like, when I played it recently with Spencer, I was looking forward to it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. No, no, I literally haven't played that game since like 2008.
It's a fun time. 15 years.
Yeah.
There's still time. Well, shall that conclude our segment on the OSTs of all
For
time?
video games? Yo, yes, there's so many other great ones we could have mentioned here. Trust me, there's a lot, but honestly, we'd be here for like 3 hours. But I don't want to make it like that.
Well, for more great OST discussion, check out BioPhoenix here on YouTube. And also let us know what tracks stand out to you in the comments below. What are some of your favorites and least favorites? Be happy to listen.
Yeah, no, yeah, we'll try to check them out if you guys comment on a bunch.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, let's jump into the next segment. Maybe just to kind of get the veins working. Can you give me your best Yu Yu Hakusho pose to open the video?
Be like, I don't know, like I can't really see like myself on camera right now. Hold
Me
on.
neither.
Yeah, 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 like that. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, that's what
gun.
I think of. Yeah.
Spirit gun. Welcome everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the Yu Yu Hakusho live action, the 5-episode Netflix series. I have BioPhoenix here. Hello, BioPhoenix.
Yes, I am here, but yeah.
He's watched the anime. He has not seen the Netflix series. I'll be kind of facilitating the conversation, but he is a welcome guest. He's the most anime guy I know.
I'm glad to know that I'm the most anime guy that you know.
At least here on YouTube in our circle. Be sure to
Yeah,
subscribe.
no.
Subscribe to BioPhoenix. Subscribe to me. Yu Yu Hakusho. You know, I'm not the biggest anime guy, but that is one that I have a deep affection and love for. Of the like 3 animes I've reviewed, this is one of them. Did it like 8 years ago. So when I heard about Yu Yu Hakusho, I had a ton of feelings with the live action. So we're actually gonna start there. So the Yu Yu Hakusho live action was announced on December 16th of 2020 as a live action series adaptation scheduled for Netflix. But only a couple weeks ago, on November 10th, 2023, did I see a reveal trailer. When did you first hear about the live action for Yu Yu Hakusho?
I first heard about it. I want to say it might have actually been around like, yeah, ending 2020, 2021. It was probably somewhere around there. Yeah, when I first heard about it.
Okay, what were some of your initial impressions?
Well, you know how a lot of anime live actions tend to be. I was kind of thinking like, well, this probably might not be good, but at the same time, I also do try to like be hopeful, especially nowadays where I feel like a lot of like younger directors now, like they actually know what the frick anime is. It wasn't like back in the day when people were trying to make like a live action anime, most of the time they don't even know what the frick anime is.
That's true.
So it's the same thing with video game movies too. Like, yeah, a lot of them were shit back then because a lot of them were like old people that didn't even play video games.
Right, let's just milk
So,
this because people like it. I also think that the technology has come a long way, so things have gotten better. and worse in some ways with the advent of like streaming services. So when I first heard about this, it was just through seeing the trailer, and I got nervous because you know how the reputation of anime live actions are. They're not good, and it's not to say I've seen that many, but I think Dragon Ball Evolution has scarred the world.
Yeah.
I don't think people have faith in general. And then I think Ghost in the Shell was another one that was concerning. And then I think there was was it Death Note or something? I haven't seen the anime.
Oh yeah, the Death Note Netflix one. Yeah.
I've heard nothing but bad reviews. So I did watch the One Piece live action recently, and I'm not the biggest One Piece fan. I like it for what it is. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that. But as again, I'm also not a One Piece fan. But I've heard from a lot of people that a lot of people are generally pretty happy with it. I mean, of course, you are gonna get like that guy who's like, "It sucked. It 100% sucked." Yeah, but
The troll
but
emerges.
yeah, but of course, I feel like generally from what I've seen from people though, like they're pretty okay with it for the most part. Yeah, like there are some things they changed and all that, but I feel like some from what I've heard, some people are actually pretty okay with the changes, and that's fine because as someone who likes to read a lot of like books and manga, then gets like seen them get like put into an adaptation of like a movie or a show, like it's never gonna be 100% like adaptation because sometimes like the source material and then turning it into like another medium, like you kind of have to make changes sometimes because sometimes some things just don't work in other mediums, like yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I thought the One Piece live action was good. I'm going to try not to do too much comparison, but there probably will be some. And there's obvious differences because One Piece is still ongoing and it's like 1,000+ episodes, and Yu Yu Hakusho is 112. So, I thought it was cool. I did think it was kind of a globalist product, not the globalist, but like a globalized product, a product for global audiences, and with that comes some like commercial things. Whereas Yu Yu Hakusho was strictly a Japanese live action, and I don't know the origins of all of the characters who performed, whether they're Japanese natives or not. It doesn't really matter to me, but it's clearly a product of Asia, which I like. I think that the anime itself is very Japanese, and as it should be with how they convert it to live action. So in that respect, I think I had some faith. I was concerned when I saw the depictions of some of the characters in the trailer. I tried not to look too deeply, but then you see Kuwabara and you're like, is that the Kuwabara from the anime who's like big and bulky? And, I mentally couldn't piece it together. It's not how I envisioned it. And I think you're going to get some of that when you really like the source material and then you see it adapted into something else. You're going to be like, that's not how I remember it.
Yeah, I've seen like what the cast looks like. I will say, for the most part, I think most of the people do look pretty good for their roles, just in terms of looks, mind you. But I will say that Kurobara is like one of the few that's a little questionable in terms of looks. But I don't know, like I mean, maybe it looks better like in the film rather than just seeing a picture. But
Right. And
you'll have to say that.
yeah, we can kind of go down the list. I'm going to talk about each of the major characters and how I think they were adapted, both in terms of looks and personality, starting with Urameshi. Urameshi.
You're a meshy.
So he's the main character. They got the whole uniform. They got the whole delinquent style thing going on. I think it works. He, wears the same outfit as everyone else in the school, the green, leather jacket and pants. And he pulls it off. And he's kind of got this like look to him. So my girlfriend's more into like Japanese media, and she didn't recognize him from any major roles, but he does have a decent, list of things. Apparently, he was into like music videos and stuff growing up. So I don't know. He's got a bit of a legacy. So this guy was well cast. He's a good face for the show. His name is Takumi Kitamura. And I think
Nice.
one thing he does well is kind of just having Yusuke's like kind of like disgust look, you know?
Okay, that's cool.
Kind of like hands in the pockets. At a bunch of points in the show, he's trying to light a cigarette and he can't do it. I don't remember him trying that in the show, but I think that he has the mannerisms down.
Well, I do remember in the show, like in the very first episode, there's the scene where like he's trying to like eat like candy or whatever, but then he gets like punched in the back of the head. Yeah.
I did think some of that, like the playfulness with Keiko, was missing, but I think as far as like the determination, it was there.
Okay.
Next character to talk about is Kazuma Kuwabara. Obviously, he doesn't have the same bulk as Kuwabara does in the show, in the anime, but my God, does this guy know the character. When you see him in action, you can feel this is a guy who has watched the anime, who knows the part. He's like really like Urameshi rival number one. No, you can't be defeated before I defeat you. You're not supposed to lose now, and he's always determined to get stronger. So I really liked how this guy performed Kuwabara, even if he didn't look exactly the part. There are a couple points where he tears off the jacket and you can see him flex. And even though he's not super strong, he looks like a strong 16-year-old, like a strong teenager or something. I don't know how old the actor is, but
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah, I can kind of like imagine how that can work well. Fact, it's funny when it comes to like the whole idea of just this show being turned into live action. I'm sure you might have seen this picture before, but there is that picture of that basketball player that looks exactly like the anime version of Kurobar, where he has like the same hair and he has like that face where he does the whole like the and it just looks really funny. Yeah, and people are like, they should hire that guy to be in the movie.
oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I'd love to see that. I haven't
Yeah,
seen that.
I don't know who he is because I don't watch basketball, but I mean, hey, that's just like that's what I always think of.
Let's talk next about Kurama. Kurama is played by Jun Shison. I don't know anyone's legacy after this point, but I'll just say their names. Kuwabara was Shuhei Uesugi. This guy looks more like a cosplay character. The hair is clearly like stapled on. It looks like a wig, big time. Now the acting is fine, although, and to be fair, I don't know that Kurama really has like the biggest personality in the show. He's kind of more of a mysterious character, and I think this guy captures that. Although I think he loses some of like the romantic side to Kurama.
I see. One interesting fact I can say about Kurama, at least when it comes to the anime version, is that in one of the movies in the English dub, he was actually voiced by David Hayter. Voice of Solid Snake.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I remember when I found out about that. I thought that was like hilarious. And then I remember I made a picture of just him saying, "Metal Gear? No, it can't be."
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Hiei
that's all. That.
is performed by Kanata Hongo. I think Hiei does well. He's pretty edgy, strong, and kind of like, snarky. Like, I'm faster and stronger than you, but he kind of keeps it to himself and just kind of shows you up in battle. He's got some cool moments in the show. He's, parts where he takes off the bandage. I did think they could have done a little more with him, though.
Okay. Yeah, he was one of my favorite characters in the anime, so it's good that they at least got him well.
Mm. And then the major arc that this one goes into, I guess, is the tournament arc. Even though it's only 5 episodes, they do quite a bit. So the Toguro characters are really well done.
Oh wow, so they actually got the tournament arc in like 5 episodes? That's pretty insane.
Yeah, which is kind of the next point about how they adapted this. So, I think the Netflix one for One Piece set a bit of a standard, although development for this started in 2020. So I don't know, what's the correlation exactly, because One Piece came out maybe like a month or two ago. But with One Piece, I feel like they crammed into one episode, which is fine because otherwise One Piece would go on forever, 1,000 episodes. And then in 8 episodes, they got to the shark dude, which is about 50 episodes. Here, they got through the whole tournament arc in 5. And they started from, Yusuke's death and rebirth scene. So in 5 episodes, you go from the death rebirth to um, the three Oni to um, Keiko gets kidnapped, which I don't even remember if that's in the anime or not, to chasing her down in the underworld in like the giant pit in the earth where there's the tournament, and then conclusion to that and closing the big sphere. I think what happened is they combined storylines. So like one thing you might remember is how like there were these like yokai insects that would infiltrate and take people over.
Yep,
And
I remember that.
what they did is they combined that with the cause of Yusuke's death. So the truck driver got infected by a yokai, which is not something that I remember, being stated. I remember that coming up later in like future episodes. Like it was just a freak accident to me because he saved a boy. So I think they were trying to conveniently fit it into like the Netflix style of telling a story, which it works for what it is. I don't think the changes were too drastic, but then with the martial arts thing, it kind of is tournament related because you have like older people betting on it, but it's not like, I think what I remember is it looked more like your typical tournament arc in the anime, which I think they sacrificed.
Yeah. Okay, kind of see what you mean.
And it just became kind of fights that were being watched, like just for life or death. So I don't know. I'd have to. It's been 8 years, so I can't tell you all the things that have and have not been changed. This is not that kind of video. But
Oh,
I will
yeah,
say, yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
go on.
No, I just
Oh,
say,
okay.
you go, dude.
Yeah, damn it, we're talking at the same time. Okay. Anyway, sorry. I was just gonna say that yeah, I also haven't seen the anime in a long time too. Like last time I okay, the first time I've ever fully watched it was about like 2008, 2009, but then I like remember rewatching it. I think it was like 2016, I think, but I didn't watch the whole thing. I just watched like I think like a good chunk of it, and then I was just like, okay, I'm good. That's my comfort food for like a little bit. And yeah, and even at that, like I still don't like remember like fully everything because like I said, as much as I love the show, it's just sometimes like we all do like different shit all the time. Like sometimes it's hard to like keep everything in there all the time.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, I after watching this, I would like to rewatch the show. I think there's I don't know, it rekindled my interest in it. I think it was well done. I think I really liked the parts that were done well, and it made me remember why I like the show so much. I think that the personalities in the show are so strong. I think the Yusuke Kuwabara rivalry is awesome. How they're kind of like in their head, but then they still can learn and be disciples of that Botan, the witch lady,
Yep.
and then they take on this Terminator looking dude, and it's uh, and the connections to like yokai and mythology are really cool. There are some things I think work better in the anime than they do in a live action, but for the most part, I think it looks and performs well. So like anything that's humanoid or human style is done well. Like fight scenes between Yusuke and other characters, or even a yokai that takes over another human character, it's done well. When it's not done well is when it's more CG. So in the first episode, there's like the locust looking thing that takes over a couple people, and okay, it's a CG thing, but it's not a huge deal. In the second one of the three ogres is basically something out of a Marvel movie. Like it just looks like a CG depiction, and it's really weird. It doesn't look as good. It juts out compared to everything else. If this was a completely CG movie, it would be different, but you can tell that the character is just fighting with thin air with something that is superimposed. Granted, if I was younger and watching this, would I care? Maybe not. But as
Yeah.
a more attuned viewer nowadays, it stands out to me.
I agree. I mean, like CGI is like cool sometimes, but I'll always take practical effects.
Sorry, my cat is eating everything. I have to watch and make sure he doesn't eat. Like this paper towel is on my desk.
Oh shit.
He's a loose
Yeah, did you
cannon.
hear what I said though? Like, is everything good?
You said that something about CG and how sometimes it's done well, but not all the time.
Yeah, that, but I also said that that I just like for the most part I always prefer practical effects. I just think they just look a lot cooler because something is like physically there and they have to like, like do shit with it. Whether it be like, like for example, like with like the Godzilla films and like the old days, like a lot of the practical effects was that they used to do like they had to like literally build like miniatures and shit, or they had to get like a dude in like a suit and then just like goes around and just breaks a bunch of shit.
Yeah, those are cool for sure. I think they hold up well. Like they. I don't know. Even if they can be cheesy sometimes in the old days, like they have character.
Yeah, well, the way I see it, and of course, like, is that yeah, you can obviously tell it's fake, but then again, you can also say the same thing about CG. You obviously know it's fake too.
True. Yeah, that could be jaded.
Yeah,
Jaded old man. But
yeah,
in
but
general, I think this was a good watch, if not a bit short, and maybe with some opportunity to have I don't know, drawn it out. I would like to see more fight scenes. I think it's okay to be more 1-to-1 with the episodes. You don't have to do every episode, but and granted, an episode of this is 60 minutes as opposed to 20 for an anime, so technically it would be 3 crammed into one. But this really only covers like 15 episodes worth at if we're going at that rate. And you've basically erased whole development arcs.
yeah, I was just gonna say that I do think it's good that they started to do like shows like that are like an hour long because you can be able to fit more like content into an episode.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's better than with like 20 minutes. 20 minutes of a live action probably wouldn't make much sense.
Yeah.
So, any interest in watching after this?
I wouldn't mind checking it out, honestly, because, like, it's, at least with Yu Yu Hakusho, it's at least a show that I actually like, so, of course, yeah, I would like to check out the live action at some point. Now, I can't guarantee you when, because, there's just a lot of stuff I have on my backlog of, like, stuff to watch, but
Yeah.
yeah, I do have Netflix, and, like you said, it's 5 episodes, so that's not bad. It's not long at all. Even
Yeah.
though they are an hour long, but still.
Yeah, I'd love to know what you think.
Yeah, yeah. No, I wouldn't mind checking out at some point. I just, like I said, I just don't know when. But yeah, I'm not opposed to it. Like, I have more interest in this than I do with the One Piece one. And even though the One Piece one I've heard, like I said, it's not, like, bad, but because it's attached to a property that I don't have, like, any, like, attachment to, it's like, whatever to me.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah, I felt similarly. I basically watched One Piece because, everyone else was hyped about it, and I was watching together with my girlfriend. So,
Yeah. And plus, you wanted to do a video with Turbo, so.
yeah, there's that too. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thanks for joining to talk about the Yu Yu Hakusho live action with me. And those of you at home watching, if you watched, let us know. And if not, why not? And will you watch soon?
Yeah,
And,
awesome.
and check out BioPhoenix too, the sequel. Cool. All right. So that concludes the segments for today. Now it's just open mic.
Open mic. All right. So, how's the weather out there?
It's
Yeah,
looking
don't
like.
answer that. I'm
Oh,
kidding.
I was about to.
Okay. Well, I mean, you can if you want. It was just because, like, I just like goofing her off and shit.
Hell yeah. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I haven't done one of these in a while. This is episode 9.
Oh, shit. Episode 9?
Yeah. Shimigami Tensei 9.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. It's gonna be funny when the actual, like, mainline series ever gets to like the 8th game, and they're like, what are they gonna do? Are they just gonna call it 9 again, and then now there's gonna be two nines? Or are they just gonna pull Microsoft and say skip 9 and then just go to 10?
We already have a 9. What if
Yeah.
9 is just Shin Megami Tensei 9 from back in the day?
Oh, like a remake version of that? That'd be interesting. I don't know
What?
how much you know about Shin Megami Tensei 9, but that game was supposed to be an online game, but then like it just, the development just wasn't seeing it, so they just decided to make it a single player game.
Oh, okay. What did it release on?
Yeah.
iOS?
No, the original Xbox.
Oh, wow.
And it was exclusive too. It was not on PS2, not on the GameCube, not on PC or any handheld. No, only on the original Xbox in Japan.
Damn. Is there a physical disc for it?
There is.
Okay.
I don't know how expensive it is. I would imagine it probably isn't cheap because I know a lot of Xbox games in Japan. Because, okay, Xbox in Japan is like the TurboGrafx 16 over here. It's like one of those systems that's like very obscure to them, and even when you go to like apparently even when you go to stores in Japan, like their section for Xbox games are usually like really small compared to like the PS2 or the GameCube where they're like always like have like mountains and walls and shit of them. But yeah, with Xbox it's always like one little like corner and like that's all you get throughout like a store if you're lucky. Or like over here with the TurboGrafx, it's like you don't really see them a lot in stores, and if you do, they probably only have like a few.
Wow. So that was the. Was it a 3D game or 2D?
It's 3D.
Oh, okay. So that was the first 3D Shin Megami Tensei game? I guess besides Persona.
Um, I can't remember the release date on that game. It might have been. Hold on, let me see. SMT9. Yeah, this came out in 2002.
Wow.
Yeah, this
Nocturne
might have
was
actually been.
03,
Wait,
I want to say?
oh, the original version of of Nocturne. Yeah, that might have been 03. Yeah, so this might have actually been the first
Wow.
3D one.
Cool.
Because, well, actually, wait, no, that's not true. There is one on the Saturn that was fully 3D. It was called Rondo.
Of Blood?
I know, I said the same joke too. No, it's actually a strategy game and it's on the Saturn in Japan, and yeah, it's just called Shin Megami Tensei Rondo, and I've heard from a lot of people it's like not very good because it's like really slow. Also, the game like the 3D graphics in it are like really like ugly looking too.
Mm.
But yeah, I think that is technically the first 3D game because now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that uses a lot of 3D stuff too. It's just not like great looking. Because I will say, Shin Megami Tensei 9 like actually does look pretty good
Hmm.
for an early like 3D game on the Xbox. It is a good looking game. Plus, I love the aesthetic of it because you were just in like this cool little like early 2000s Tokyo type thing, and it looks cool.
Hmm. Oh my god, you would love this. The cat grabbed my plushy Pokeball and dragged it from out under the bed.
Great.
Incredible. Um, do you think we'll ever hit a Shin Megami Tensei 9?
We might eventually, maybe. I don't know. Well, I think we'll probably get a Persona 9 before we get a Shin Megami Tensei 9, I think.
I don't know. We're caught up on both ends. Persona 5, SMT 5.
Yeah. Although I think they did announce that they are working on a Persona 6, but of course, nothing is shown of it. I think they just acknowledge that it is, like, going to be happening.
Hmm.
But, yeah.
Who
Who knows what,
knows?
what that will be.
I mean,
And I
that
wonder
one
what
is a little more guaranteed to do well than SMT 5. That one is basically left to die in the graveyard.
Yes, I mean, I don't know how well that game sold, but then again, it was only on the Switch. And granted, the Switch is, like, you know, selling a lot, but I think it could have sold better if it was on like everything though.
Mm-hmm. That's too bad. I don't know. I mean, I know the game's not like groundbreaking, but I think it was fun for what it was. For a first playthrough, it was really good. Did you play through SMT5?
No, I do have it. I just haven't like gotten around to playing it yet. But when it comes to like, if I ever was in the mood to play like a Shin Megami Tensei game again, which I don't know when that will be, but when I do, that probably will be the one I will play. If not that one, then probably like Persona 2 Part 2, aka Eternal Punishment, because that's a game that's been a long time coming for me. Because I used to play the PS1 version of that, and it was good, but it was like really fucking hard. But the PSP version of that game, which is like an improved version of it, got fan translated. So I was thinking about like playing that version
Hmm.
for that. But yeah, it's either between those two. Those are the main two that I'm like interested in playing if I were in an SMT mood.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to try one of those early Personas someday. There's so many options.
Yeah, I would say the PSP versions are the better ones. I mean, like obviously, like, if you want to actually go out and buy them, obviously, like no matter which version you get, they're going to be expensive as shit. But I do think the PSP versions are the better ones for that. Well, I know with Persona 2 Innocent Sin, like the Part 1 version of that. God, it sounds so weird when I say it like that, but yeah, that game was actually really good. Like that version, like actually still holds up pretty well. Like, yeah, you do things differently than what you do in like the later games, but it's not like awful. It's not even really bad at all. It's just different
Hmm.
because it's not like because the way how you do fusions in that game is like not the same at all. It's like you literally have to collect a bunch of cards of like the same like tarot attributes that you need to summon like a monster, and that's how
Mm-hmm.
you do fusions in that game. It's not like the newer ones where it's like you just take two or three random ass monsters and just mash them together, and there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I except just fat chance I'll ever get a PSP.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, honestly, there's just so. I think there's just better ways of playing PSP games now at this point.
Okay, go. What are they?
Well, just emulating them.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I mean. But there's so many devices that can play them though. Like I think you can even play them on your phone like pretty easily. But I get that like like, using like touch controls is like weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. The phone is taking over. I still won't convert though.
No, I don't even have emulators on my phone. I
My
mean, I can do it if I wanted to, but I just don't because I don't need them on
my
there.
coworker says he's playing Vice City through the Netflix app on his phone.
Wait, Netflix has games?
They do. There's a Netflix gaming section now.
That is insane to me. Like the fuck? What the hell?
Yeah, I don't understand either, but apparently it's a thing.
All right, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. All right, you and I are both falling asleep, I think. So I'm gonna call it here.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Yeah, man, cuz yeah, it's been fun.
It has. Yeah, thank you for joining.
Yep, as always.
All right, everyone. Thanks for checking out the Majora T Cast Revived. Time to revive yourself. Go check out BioPhoenix if you haven't already, and have yourselves a great day.
Thanks for watching, commenting, and have yourselves a great day. There you go.
I stole your outro.
It's all good.
Have an all right day.